Hollywood, and she's going to be in a bunch of really popular movies coming up here. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And, okay, so our number 1 top 40 song this week, Happy, again. This is its 6th week at number 1. I read ahead because this is our last episode of the season. So by next season, when we do this, it'll be 2015 that we're flashing back to. So it won't be Happy any longer. I looked ahead. After week 10, it spends 10 weeks at number 1. After its 10th week, it gets dethroned by All of Me, as predicted.
Oh, Jesus.
That song stays at number 1 for only 3 weeks before Fancy by Iggy Azalea takes over. And then that's the new number 1 for a while. So Happy, followed by All of Me, followed by Fancy by Iggy Azalea. If you're trying to put the time into context, hearing those 3 songs in your head should remind you of where you were roughly when those songs were all on the radio at the same time. And then, of course, our Florida Man story of the week. And this will be our last Florida Man story as well, because we no longer have to honor the Crows with our Florida Man story of the week. But this one's a good one. The headline: Florida Man tries to kiss cottonmouth snake, hospitalized after bite. So according to Fox 13, 18-year-old Austin Hatfield of Wimauma, I don't know, whatever that is, somewhere in Florida, was hospitalized last Saturday after being bitten by a cottonmouth while attempting to kiss it. Friends say that he had captured the snake from his girlfriend's yard several days before and was keeping it in a pillowcase, as one does.
That's probably the way to do it, though, right?
I mean, if you don't have a bucket to put it in, I suppose you put it in a pillowcase, right? When they came and took the rattlesnake off my back patio, they put it in a bucket.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Like one of those 5-gallon,
that Home Depot bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a lid they put on it and everything. So that was actually twice that they had to come out and get the rattlesnakes out of my backyard. I live on a canyon. Yeah.
No, I mean, they had like two different
rattlesnakes. Yeah. Like relatively rare ones too. They're like these red diamond rattlesnakes. They're really cool looking, but like, whoa, kind of scary.
Oh yeah. Did they get into your house, or they were just out in the backyard?
No, they were just out on the patio, out on the back patio, sunning themselves.
Sunning themselves.
One of them was curled up in like a corner somewhere, like right on the corner of the house, where if you were coming out of the garage through the garage back door, you'd walk past it. And literally Rachel walked past it, and I said, "There's a snake over there," and she's like, "What?" Like, yeah, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. it was right there.
Ankle biter.
Yeah.
It was an ankle biter.
Yep.
Did she didn't hear? Like maybe it was.
It didn't rattle or anything. It was cold. It was cold out that day, and so it was a little sluggish, I think. So because it didn't move. We had to call the county. They came out to get it and do the whole thing, and it didn't even move when she tried to grab it and put it in the bucket. It started rattling a little bit when she grabbed it, but not much. It was very, very sluggish. So.
Oh, what would be the animal that you would get to kill that?
A mongoose.
Maybe a mongoose.
Yeah, you get a mongoose to kill a snake, right? Or a
honey badger.
Honey badger, or a golden eagle. Probably they would take care of that pretty good.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, so yeah, he was keeping it in a pillowcase, and he occasionally took the snake out to kiss it on the mouth. So he had it in a pillowcase for several days, would occasionally take it out to kiss it on the mouth. But on Saturday, the snake decided to end the relationship. We have a quote here from his friend Jason Belcher, who says, "He took it out, put it on his chest, and it was acting funny, and it jumped up and got him. He ripped it off his face, threw it on the ground, and he started swelling up immediately."
Jeez.
He was transported to Tampa General Hospital's emergency room. Of course, it's Tampa, in critical condition. But doctors have said that he is expected to recover. Cottonmouth bites can typically be treated with antivenom, but the snake is still considered very dangerous and has been known to cause fatalities. So, Yeah. Cottonmouths, also known as mangrove rattlers or worm-tailed pit vipers, are considered dangerous animals, and Morse said that those who come across them should keep their distance. Apparently, he also faced charges for illegally capturing and keeping the cottonmouth without a permit. So not everything is legal in Florida.
Wow.
Apparently, you're not allowed to keep a cottonmouth in a pillowcase. But they have a picture of this guy on the website that the story is on. They have a picture of him on the left with the snake wrapped around his arm, and him holding it, making like a face with his tongue out. And then they've got a picture of him lying in his hospital bed with his head swollen to like 3 times its normal size.
Oh my God.
He looks like he's been stung by every bee that ever existed.
Oh. No, that's Florida, man.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Jesus.
So that's where we end our year in the life of Florida man with trying to get a little fresh with a cottonmouth and spend a little time in the hospital and swell up to twice your normal size. So have fun.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's our trip back. So let's get into this episode. So we've got a few things, but just to set the table, we remember what happened at the end of the last episode. Raylan and Vasquez have a gambit they're going to try. They're going to say they're charging Kendall as an adult. They're actually going to attempt to charge Kendall as an adult. And Raylan's thinking is that will make Kendall and perhaps Wendy flip on Daryll. And, you know, and he's also going to let Daryll go at the same time. He's going to let Daryll out of custody to give him a chance to hang himself. I think Raylan says something to the effect of, how can he hang himself if we don't give him any rope to do it with? And so the whole plan here is explain to Kendall that he's going to be tried as an adult, let him realize what that means, and get him to flip on Daryll. If that doesn't work, get Wendy to understand that her kid is going to go away for 40 years, get her to flip on Daryll. If that doesn't work, let Daryll go out there and do something to try and either get revenge or cover up this crime or whatever. We're going to follow Daryll around. We're going to make his life miserable until he screws up, and we can take him into custody. So Raylan's kind of got a 3-pronged sort of approach here with how he's going to get Daryll Crowe. And that starts with Tim following Mr. Crowe. And I have a clip of their conversation.
Hey, you that other marshal, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to keep your hands where I can see him, Daryll.
I ain't trying to start no shit. I'm just tired. Trying to see, is there a motel around here I could go catch a couple, 2-3 hours of sleep?
Well, there's a Motel 6 over where the 75 hits the 60.
Is that right? I don't know the area too well. You think I could follow you?
The way this works, Daryl, is I follow you around.
Ah, well, suit yourself. That car don't look too good for sleeping, though.
You know, my second tour in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
me and my spotter spent 4 days on a freezing mountain, just watching this village where someone thought Mustafa Muhammad Falheed might be hiding. So while I appreciate your concern this may as well be a slow night in the champagne room for how comfortably erect I'm gonna be watching your bitch ass squirm about.
Okay.
You got anything else?
Well, y'all catch him?
Oh, you don't want to know what we did to that guy.
Well, if you want to cuddle, you know where to find me.
Oh, yeah.
2 knocks, I'll hold you real good.
So I always love a good Tim interaction, and we get a lot more of it in season 6. I'm excited about that. So
I wonder if that story is the same, like remember in season 1, I think it was, where it was Tim and Raylan staking out this one, like it was the trailer park, and he's talking about, like we watched this guy for, like days. Yeah. They didn't know whether he, and we never found out what happened, but he was like, oh yeah, we gotta, you get to know who they eat, or what they eat, their habits and all this other stuff, because they just watched them for that long. I wonder if it's the same guy or if it's a different one, the same story, or
Yeah.
it's not gonna come out. Yeah, because we never find, even in this one, we don't know what happened at the end for that.
Well, we don't, but I did a little research because I was curious. So I wondered if Tim maybe was referencing something real when he said that. And he said Mustafa Mohammed Faleed is what he said. I found Mustafa Mohammed Fadil, who was a citizen of Kenya and Egypt, indicted for his part in the bombings of the Tanzania and Kenya embassy bombings. So that happened in 98 or whatever. And he was killed in action in Afghanistan sometime during the Afghanistan war, the war on terror. We don't know exactly when. His name was taken off of the FBI most wanted list in May of 2005. So we know it was before May of 2005. His death wasn't confirmed until 2013. When it was confirmed by an Al-Qaeda spokesperson at the time. But the name came off the most wanted list in 2005, which is indicative that, hey, maybe we know something happened to this guy in 2005. But we know that he was on the most wanted terrorist list. He was Abdul Hadi al-Iraqi's second in command. And they realized that they killed him, that he was eventually killed in action in Afghanistan from an interrogation of an Al-Qaeda operative at Guantanamo Bay. And that was in one of the leaks that came out about the Guantanamo Bay operation. So it's very, very possible that what Tim's talking about is this guy, right? I mean, it's the first name is the same. The middle name is the same, Mustafa Mohammed. And the last name here is Fadhil versus Faleed. That feels very intentional on the part of the writers here.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe it's like the Law and Order, where you can't.
Yeah, exactly. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going on here, which means I get to play this. So there you go. Now you know Mustafa Mohammed Fadil was real and may have been killed by Tim in Afghanistan.
Yeah, well, that's what I was. My note is it the same guy that he was like surveilling for that? I don't know, whatever it was, a week or whatever.
The 4 days or whatever.
4 days, yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about what does he talk about? When he uses the bathroom or whatever, and yeah. Ugh. Not my scene. But it doesn't seem to. I mean, you can tell Daryll is a little bit, taken off guard by it a little bit, but at the same time, he does a pretty good job of acting unfazed by it all. Yeah, he's like, these guys aren't fooling around. They send this guy on me.
Yeah. By the way, who ends up it doesn't take that much to lose him. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I don't know. He should have known better than that.
Oldest trick in the book. Let's just talk about that now, because it's the oldest trick in the book that Tim does, or that Daryll does here. So the next day, Daryl's attempting to lose Tim. He sits at a light, and while it's red, and waits for an opportunity, and then runs the red light, shoots across traffic to ditch Tim. Tim, being a couple cars back, drives around and enters the intersection without looking, and gets smashed by a car, gets T-boned by a car coming on the green light, because of course he did. So it's almost like, I don't know, that felt like we need a way to get Daryll away from Tim. I feel like they could have at least made Tim appear competent when they did it.
Yeah.
I don't see Tim getting fooled by that little maneuver ever.
No. I mean, especially because we've seen him tail other people, so it's not like he's inexperienced or new on the job or anything like that. Yeah. So yeah.
That was weird. I thought that was a weird kind of way for him to ditch Tim, but the oldest trick in the book, and Tim walked right into it. So, but they needed a way for Daryll to be free of Tim, so that the Wendy encounter could happen. So, okay, so let's see what else is going on. So Boyd, as we remember from the last episode, Boyd called Jimmy to tell him, "Hey, hide the dope and get out of town because the cartel's coming." And Jimmy said he